Hey guys, I'm going to make this brief, since you know how horrible I've been feeling today and how terribly my voice is doing. But I wanted to make sure I was able to walk through with you this organizer that we filled in together in class. We didn't get through all of it in every single class, but I want you to see the practical application of what we were talking about yesterday. Now, we used this article, and if you haven't finished reading it yet, well, every class has read it, but if you haven't finished analyzing it yet on your own, don't necessarily watch this just yet. Click pause, see if you can walk through that worksheet on your own, that Now You're Getting It worksheet that was attached to yesterday's post at the bottom, and the completed one of today's lesson is attached to the bottom of today's post. But I wanted to make sure that you got a clear picture of what it is that we were doing. Now, as we read through that article, we got a clear picture of the who, the what, the when, the where, and the how, which, as we all know, is our answer to everything that we know how to do in narrative text and moving it to informational text. So we discovered that the who was the Lost Boys and the Found Boys. We discovered that the what was that the Found Boys returned to the refugee camp. We found out that the when was at the end of 2004, which makes a difference because of what was going on in Sudan at the time, and frankly is still kind of going on in Sudan. We also discovered the where was a refugee camp in Kakuma, which makes a big difference. We also discovered that the why was because the Found Boys are trying to give hope to the Lost Boys, and we figured out that the how kind of has two answers. There's the how of how they were able to get back over there to give this hope, which was that the Rotary Club funded them. But there's also the how do we give them hope as Found Boys, which was just by being there and showing that they were able to be successful even after going through what the refugees went through. That gives a certain amount of hope as well. So we landed that using all of our tools, using the text features and all of our analysis of really what happened in the article, we came up with the main idea that there is hope for Sudanese refugees. But we said, hey, wait a minute, if we have a main idea, we have to support that main idea. Usually when you're looking to support something, let's say if you had to write a summary, which we did today, which we'll get to, you usually want to give at least 3 pieces of examples. If you give 1 example, it's easy for people to dismiss it. If you give 2, people are like, okay, but still, like, show me something. 3, really, you get to the point where people are like, okay, I get it. So we really wanted 3 supporting details for this main idea. And we decided that if we were coming to the conclusion that there is hope for Sudanese refugees, we needed to know 3 things. We needed to know the Lost Boys' current situation. We needed to know the Found Boys, some details about the Found Boys' visit, because that was the how in the Found Boys' success. So if we want to show that there's hope, we need to show why there needs to be hope and what that hope is, but also how that hope got there. It's just like if I made a claim that something changed over time, it's logical to think that I would need to show what it was before, what it is now, and how it changed. Same thing. If we're looking to prove something like this, we have to show a progression. What's their life like? What could their life be like? What's the thing that joins it all together? So the text the text detail that we got, and remember, we're not really authorities on what's going on in Sudan. Most of us have never even been to Africa. Many of the people in all of the classes that I talk to, we've never been to Africa, so we're not an authority. But Erica Sauter and Dietland Lerner are. They wrote the article, they did the research, they were there. So we should quote their text if we're going to support our idea that there's hope for Sudanese refugees. Hopefully this is making sense. So I found a couple. Now there are more than just these, I don't have the only right answers, but these details seem to really support each of these things. The Lost Boys' current situation. Why do they need hope? Well, the refugees live in mud huts, sleep on wooden slabs, and eat only grain and water. That was part of a larger paragraph that just illustrated how little they have and how it's easy to lose hope. Well, the Found Boys have success. They were living in that same camp, and this is actually a direct quote from one of the Found Boys that said, "We passed a big disaster, and now we're having a good life and good experiences." That's directly from one of the Found Boys. And it's part of a paragraph that has the larger picture of their success in America. Going to college, getting jobs, feeling like they want to come back to Sudan and help at some point and find wives maybe. But the interim is what really gives the hope to the Sudanese refugees, so we had to find something about their visit, the Found Boys visit. Now they have returned to Kenya. Their goal is to help the next group of US-bound hopefuls prepare for their new home. How's about that? We have 3 pieces of text that directly support the fact that there is hope for Sudanese refugees. We know what their situation's like, we know what could be theirs, and we know who is bringing that message to them. Alright, so now that we have that, let's say we want to summarize this 4-page article to somebody else. How do we do that? We want to summarize things in our own words, but we want to make sure that it's based in fact that is provable. So, this is the summary I came up with, and again, I don't have all the right answers, but my guess is that you guys would have been able to come up with something similar just by doing the exercise that we did. There's nothing in here that's magic. You're just logically finding facts that support your main idea. And remember, a main idea is not a plot. A main idea is not a character. And so it has to be part of a larger idea. Just like the main idea of Walk Two Moons was not Sal's trip. It didn't have anything to do with Sal, actually. We learned the main idea and the author's purpose from Sal because it was a narrative piece of text. We learned it from her story. But the main idea of it was, don't judge somebody until you walk 2 moons in their moccasins. It really was separate from Sal, except that Sal was the vehicle that main idea got connected to us from that author, right? So in this case, the main idea that's being connected to us from the informational text author was that there is hope for Sudanese refugees even though the situation's pretty bad. So we use that, and we summarize it in our own words, and we come up with something like this. There is hope for Sudanese refugees. Wait, that sounds really familiar. Isn't that the main idea that I just put up front? Well, sure, anytime you write a thesis statement, you are including the main idea in there because you want to tell your audience what you're going to be writing about. That's every piece of writing that you've ever done. And so, hopefully you're starting to see that all of these things that we've been talking about all year long are really coming together. There is hope for Sudanese refugees. Now take a look. This supporting detail about their current situation, put it in my own words. The camp they live in now is overcrowded and they have nothing. Pretty good, right? Now I have to talk about the visit. However, 3 successful immigrants to America have returned to bring them the hope of future success. Right? Their goal is to help the next group of US-bound hopefuls prepare for their new home. In my own words. These 3 are living well in America and have the opportunity to become educated and successful. Boom. That 3rd point. Right? In my own words. Now I sum it all up. They are an example that the very same is possible for those that they are visiting. Introduction, that includes my thesis statement. Conclusion, that pulls it all together. 3 supporting details that help me get my main idea across. You see, it's all kind of about the format and formula of a system, knowing how to apply it to different types of texts. Hopefully you're starting to see that. We're going to practice this more tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure I walked through this particular one with you in case we went too quickly in class, or you and your partner, when you got together to discuss the different points of text, kind of missed something somewhere. Okay? More on this tomorrow. I'm going to rest my voice and hopefully be able to talk a little bit better tomorrow. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.